So when I think of the program, the Farmington program, you know, it's sort of freewheeling, press, come at you style. I think of Craig.
If I had to summarize him, I would say he's like a gunslinger. He just played one way and it was all out, take no prisoners, and we're gonna win.
And he had a devil take care attitude. You know, I mean, he didn't seem to get upset with things that went on the court. If something happened, it was for a reason, and he picked himself up and played on. But he had an intensity to him that he didn't want to lose.
He wasn't a great shooter, but you know, he was all over the floor on defense. One of the best defensive players I think I've ever seen at any level in high school.
Absolutely one of the best defensive players Farmington's probably ever seen, probably will ever see.
Great instincts defensively. Actually, that was probably more his strength than offense. He just had an knack of where the ball was going to be, and
he was everywhere all the time. You never knew what he was going to do, but it was 99% of the time it was something pretty good.
He could out-jump big men. He could outrun small men. He was a good all-around athlete.
He was a tremendous athlete, period. Raw talent, you know, came from an athletic family. You know, his brother Carl's on the '84 team. He was one of those younger brothers that I think benefits from having those older brothers that are, you know, such good athletes. And Craig, but he really left his mark on the basketball court.
just a pleasure to coach. He was a real gamer, worked out of practice, a leader. Wish you had 5 of them, you would win forever.
We now enter an era of sports that may never be matched, an era of packed gyms, near-perfect seasons, championship runs, and banners hung. Our next inductee was a major reason for that success. Craig Whitten, the younger brother of 1984 state champion Carl Whitten, would make his mark later on in the 80s, where he would compile stats that any coach would kill for and student athletes would aspire to. Craig finished 90 career games with a total of 477 rebounds, 406 assists, a school record 317 steals, and a total of 889 career points. Selected to play in the prestigious All-Hambra game his senior year, Craig was one of the starting 5 and an integral part of Farmington's last basketball championship in 1988. A proud member of the investigation division of the UNH Police Department, he now resides in Portsmouth with his family, but he remains a special part of Farmington's proud sports history. Please welcome our next athlete inductee, Officer Craig Whitten.
That's a great tune right there. Most of you would think I was on the other side. Wow, this is great. Well, I'd first like to thank my wife, Stacy, my daughter, Skylar, and my son, Spencer, for being here, and my dad, Joe Whitten, for being here. I'd like to thank my mom. She'd sit right there. Every game, you know she was here, because once we walked out that door, ran through the sign, you could hear a cowbell ringing. So maybe they have a clip and you listen in the background, you'll hear it. So I'd also like to thank the committee and the 500 Boys Club for selecting me for this honor. I was hoping Mike was going to go first, so I could say Mike just said it all and I'd be done. Now, back in high school in 1988, 26 years ago, it went by fast, went by real fast. Thinking back in high school, we were 66-6 through my 4 years of high school. We had a great group of guys. My freshman year, all the way up through my senior year. But I think that reflects more on the coaching staff. Coach Mike Lee and his assistants, you know, they really pushed us. They knew when to push us and when to let us battle on this floor and beat the, well, you know, battle each other, put it that way. It started a little bit earlier than that in junior high. Going into junior high, I thought I was good, to be honest with you. But there was a coach going into 6th grade that thought otherwise, and I didn't make the team. I don't see Mr. Reynolds here anyway. But I'd like to thank him. Most of you know Dan Reynolds. He really pushed me. By doing that, I went out and I played hours on end, anywhere I could. I actually ended up in Durham playing up there for them. But I'd like to thank him for what he did to me to realize that just because you think you're good, you're not good. And that was one of the pushes in my life. A little bit before that, growing up in the neighborhood, we played for hours on end with Danny Place and Larry and Ronnie Howard and my brother Chuck, who was on the 88 team. My brother Kyle and my brother Joe. We'd play with anybody in the neighborhood that wanted to play. And we thought we were playing basketball. It was more like football. And that's where I learned how to foul. So if you look at the stats, you'll see the fouls. But even before that, we started here, right in this gym, when I was knee-high. Didn't matter what team you're on, the blue, yellow, green, red. That's where we started, is right here in this gym with the 500 Boys Club. And the true thanks goes out to those coaches, Dan Reynolds, Paul Moulton, Randy Tatro, Larry Lover, Jim Mabey, Buzz for taking his time out of his life to keep the scoreboard for us. So my real thanks goes out to all of you guys for giving your dedication and your time for us to have a place to go and to play. Thank you.